I had a different idea that will be changed for a future video, but we need to talk about Wizards of the Coast again. And I need y'all to understand some stuff that I wish I didn't need to state. Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast have fired over 1,000 people right before Christmas bonuses get written up. According to Hasbro and Wizards, it was to keep Hasbro healthy. What does that mean? Well, it's a simple premise, really. Hasbro has been doing nothing but losing money lately. Are they still profitable? Yeah, but they're not near as profitable as they'd like or their investors would like. So they decided to cut part of the company that makes the most money. No, seriously. Every number I've seen is that Wizards make the most money of any Hasbro branch, which is funny given Monopoly and Risk. Hell, I own a Warhammer Monopoly board game. Wizards seems to be the biggest income source, so it makes a bit of sense, but also no sense that they got over 1,000 fired. How does it make sense? Why would they fire their biggest moneymaker? Well, for this, I'll need to talk a bit about how business works. Now, first, Hasbro is a publicly traded company, a C Corp. Conqueror Creations, my company, is an LLC, which means we essentially aren't at fault for other people. I can't find information about what Paizo is and how they're traded, but it doesn't really matter. C Corp being publicly traded means the company doesn't make profit off of sales. Instead, those who give money to the company get the profits from the sales. So they don't listen to what the customer or even the workers say. They listen to what the investor says. They want to push that profit for the investors so that the investors will put more money into the company. Some owners can be investors too, though I argue that's insider trading if you ask me. Now, there's a thing between C Corp and LLC that's an S Corp license, which I originally was trying to make Conqueror Creations into that, but it's a lot more complicated than I originally thought. We'll do that in the future, hopefully. An S Corp has 100 shares, and the owner of the company decides who gets how many shares. My hope is that with Conqueror Creations, we'll give a share of the company to every worker. Is that logical? No! But Publix sort of does that. That company is booming here in Florida, so maybe it'll work. An LLC doesn't have shares. Its profits come from the customer and the cost. At the moment, we at Conqueror Creations are making no profit whatsoever. We've made no sales, we aren't finished with our books, and we are having a lot of trouble finding an illustrator. We'll find someone eventually, but having some trouble in the hunt. But with those three distinctions, that points out where the profits come from. Hasbro gets their profits from the investors, while Conqueror Creations gets its profits from customers' happiness. A company with an S license will be able to choose who invests and where the profits come from, giving them more control. Now, how does this explain Hasbro's decision? Well, it's a bit complicated. Hasbro makes most profit from Wizards, then Monopoly, then other board games and such. But when was the last time you heard of Hasbro making a new game? I think 2008 with HeroScape, and that flopped hard because they weren't really marketing it. But with that in mind, despite the fact that their board games don't make as much, they also don't cost near as much. Seriously, they make a Monopoly board game for nearly every large town in the States. I'm certain I could find a website that to make your own custom board too. It's not that hard to make a new version of an old game. Monopoly has the most different rules, but they still follow the same idea. Meanwhile, every book that Wizards writes requires a director, at least one writer, a story guide, a mathematician, what with dice, an editor, a formatter, and several other positions too, excluding delivery and printing. With a board game, you need an artist and maybe someone to edit the old board. That's about it. So, with Wizards being the biggest profit, it also costs the most. So it makes sense that that is what they would cut. Am I excusing it? God, no. The timing is awful. A lot of companies have been doing this lately. Bungie did it recently, and now Hasbro. Right before Christmas, too. Sorry, Timmy, Santa isn't coming this year because Hasbro hates me. Will they find a new job? That's even more up in the air. Because of how this industry works, the niche for writers is very limited. Most writers in one company focus on one game. Wizards of the Coast makes Dungeons & Dragons and Magic the Gathering. Both are hyper-specific, and their rules don't always transfer over well to another company. Paizo is likely to hire some of the Fallen, but I doubt they can hire over 1,000 people. And what will these people do? Who knows? They could do what Paizo did when 4th edition tried to upend the system and make a company of their own. But so much of what the world's culture does is afraid to act out of line. They're afraid to, well, look at the dotted line and step off of it. Those who do are the brave and the rare. Most don't want to stand, they want to sit. But when forced to kneel, then they'll stand sometimes. I could go into a lot about this. I actually used to when I taught economics. But that's a different story, and I have a venomous hatred of universities. Let's talk about you and me now. I've stated in several videos that I haven't bought anything from Hasbro in years. I haven't even bought third-party stuff that D&D or Hasbro or Wizards' name is on. Why? Because the company spites me and doesn't deserve my money. It's why I haven't even bought anything by Activision Blizzard since the Blitzchung thing some time ago. Who remembers that? And yet, people keep saying, oh, if you don't buy it, the company will fire their workers. Yes, that's the point. The company will not listen to you until you make them hurt. And sure, they'll fire their workers, they'll punish their workers. But the other option is reward the corporation and make them think that's what they do is okay. So, would you rather have a company that's actually listening or a company that does the same thing with no progress or change? Fortunately, this is a damned if you do, damned if you don't thing. And definitely sounds like I'm blaming you for what Hasbro is doing, and I kind of am. Look, so many people out in the world will buy a product, get excited for the next product, consume again. There's a reason why when I go to the store, I actually look at all my options, even in groceries. If a product you love puts on their label saying they hate you and want you to die, would you buy the product? No. You would look for a different product. Look, Hasbro's logo is that way. It's a sign of, I hate you. How, when they were trying to change the OGL, not even a year ago, they outright said that you were an obstacle between them and your money. I'll be honest, I'm glad Hasbro is losing money. They deserve it. I hope the company gets shut down. I pray to God that the workers who've lost their jobs in this situation find new ones or forge their own company. They deserve better than Hasbro. And I want you to tell them that. Find a smaller company, someone like Green Ronin, which has actually been helping me found Conqueror Creations. Support their games and give them some cash, because if these smaller companies get more money, they'll be able to hire more people. Thanks for listening to my rants. This is like the 4th time I've said all this, but a single person might not have a loud voice, but 1,000 voices echo. Please, look around at different products. Don't just not buy Hasbro. Give that money to someone else. A company doesn't give a middle finger to you and their workers. Thank you again. Now, shove off.